Trae Young. It was a coming out party, but that's all right. That's all right. It's orange and blue skies, baby. It's just one game. It's just one game, Max. Come in, just one game. We got a whole series. I said 7 games. It's just one game, Polly. It's just one game, Max. It's just one game, okay? Just one game. Orange and blue skies. This is just the beginning. We coming back for Trae Young. We gonna go down to the ATL. We gonna end it. We gonna even this series in 2, and then we coming down to the ATL, and we taking over. New York's in the building. New York's in the building. Molly, Max, they in the house as well. Your boy is here. Let's go.
Go New York, go New York.
This is our freaking moment. Early.
This weekend was a lot of fun, Max Kellerman. I watched a lot of good basketball. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday night really capped it off for me. How you doing today, Max? You good?
Oh yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, that was what a weekend of basketball,
Molly
huh, Stephen
here.
A?
Hope you had a good weekend.
Listen. It didn't end. It didn't end as much as the way I would like to. But it was it was a beautiful time being at Madison. I was at Madison Square Garden with my peeps. We represented. Okay, it's just a game. It's just a game.
I'm gonna deal with you in a second. I'm gonna deal with you in a second.
Mid bag of shells. Ain't no biggie.
We got a lot to unpack today, everybody. Let's go. He may be young, but he's ready. Trae silencing Madison Square Garden Game 1. Even Stephen A. and his crew leading his team to a 2-point win over the Knicks, a dominant playoff debut. Young joined a trio of Hall of Famers as the 4th player with a 30-point double-double in his first career playoff game at the current MSG. Trae, talk to me.
Got real quiet in there. It got real quiet in there. It's still yelling now. I don't care. Next.
It's tough to get quiet with all those angry New Yorkers back in the building. Stephen A., how do you feel about your Knicks?
I feel fine. Let me stop lying. I feel a little worried.
Okay.
Only because Trae Young is special. Trae Young is special. Let's just start off the show giving this young brother his props. And the reason I say give the young brother his props, Max, is because we keep forgetting. We've been talking about Luka so much over the years, and rightfully so, because Luka is just a superstar in the making if he's not already there. But the Atlanta Hawks gave up the number 3 overall pick, allowed Dallas to trade up so they could get Luka Doncic instead of Atlanta grabbing him themselves. And as a result of that, they had Trae Young, and we all look at Trae Young as this nice little player or whatever. But this brother is cat quick. He's got a nasty handle. He can pass. He damn sure could shoot. And to be able to get in the lane with such ease the way that he has, and mastering that floater, this dude's offensive repertoire is something special, and I'm going to give him all the love in the world because he deserves it. However, them damn Knicks, let me tell you something right now. Tom Thibodeau's number 2, my coach of the year, to Monty Williams, okay? Let's understand something here. Max Kellerman, you can't take Frank Ntilikina off the bench, play him 1 minute, and then in cold and everything, and you gonna ask him to guard Trae Young. How you gonna do something like that? That just doesn't make any sense, okay? And Julius Randle, there were 2 All-Stars in this game. One showed up.
No, there was one All-Star in that game, really.
No. Julius Randle, literally, is an All-Star. He was in the All-Star game, like Trae Young. You know, he's an All-Star. He did not show up last night. He was nervous. He was rushing stuff. He was making bad decisions. Even on the last shot when the inbounds ball was thrown to him. Max, you had 0.9 seconds. You could have kicked it right back out to Alex Burke, who had 27 and was shooting the ball well all game long, instead of you shooting some fall-away jump shot. And then before that, there was an air ball, a brick that he shot from 3.
Brick.
I did not expect that from Julius Randle. I have every confidence that he will make up for this, but Max make no mistake. He needs to make up for it because it wasn't a great night for him.
So you were at Madison Square Garden, right?
I was there in the house, man.
Did you use a press pass or did you buy a ticket?
A press pass. I wanted to buy a ticket.
Right. I know. You know why I'm asking.
I wanted to buy a ticket.
Did you bring your ID?
I did not.
Now, Stephen A. knows why I'm asking, because sometimes if you work in the business, you get a press pass, press section, you can't really cheer. Sometimes when you have a rooting interest, you're like, to hell with that. I'm going to spend the money because I want to be loud. I want to cheer for my team. I'm a basketball fan.
Right.
And you spend the money to sit courtside or wherever you're going to sit. Stephen A., I'm sure, is going to sit courtside.
Yes. I would have, yeah.
Yeah, I like about 5 rows back, a little cover, but you still get a view.
I'd have said
the point is,
okay, rich people problems.
The point is sometimes so you can cheer. And here's the problem. You know why the Knicks lost last night? I'm going to get to Trae Young in a second. Let me do my best, Stephen A. Because of you.
Yeah.
And the nauseating Knicks fans, just like you. What did Trae Young say right after the game? Right after the game. They were chanting, expletive you.
No, you can say the word F. You can say the letter
Well,
F.
I'm
You can say the letter F.
This is a family
F, Trae
program.
Young. It is a family program. F.
Kids, earmuffs.
F is a letter in the
Earmuffs.
alphabet. It's a letter in the alphabet. Yes.
The point is, he turned around and said, yeah, actually, expletive, you. Shh, right? You are poking the bear, Knicks fans. The same Knicks fans who showed up come hell or high water when Dolan was ruining the team and are having Charles Oakley arrested. You showed up all the time and cheered him on anyway, giving him no incentive for better behavior or a better product. You finally, what do you say? A dead clock is right twice a day. He finally hires the right people after 2 decades, and they're a 4 seed. They're in the playoffs. New York, stand up is all I hear. Right. And then you poke the bear, right, the best player on the other team, and he hits it in your face to beat you, and then afterwards tells you, be quiet, and this is what, let me tell you what motivated me. The whole arena, Madison Square Garden, he said Times Square, he's a few blocks off, but chanting that at me. Congratulations, Knicks fans. Congratulations.
Well,
you just cost yourself game 1.
Well, I will tell you this. Number one, he wasn't wrong to say Times Square because the hotel that he was at was near there. And the fact of the matter is that there were people in the streets chanting that prior to the game. So that's what he was alluding to. He's not inaccurate in that. Secondly, even if I were courtside, I would have never, ever chanted that.
No.
Towards Trae Young or any player for that matter. I have style. I have class. I have decorum. You can't conduct yourself.
Would you have been loud?
You're just, no, I would have been cool. I'm just a cool kind of dude.
I'm just glad he got through security easily and didn't have those problems.
Well, all the ladies in security and the medical people doing the tests and stuff like that, you know, they were so kind to me and they helped get me through there, and I appreciate that. That's what they did. They took care of me.
You got to bring your ID.
No, I didn't.
I'm saying just generally, you got to bring.
I had it with me. They just didn't ask to see it. I mean, they know who I am.
They asked Spike and Oakley, so
you know what Kevin Durant said? Kevin Durant on Stephen A. You know who I am. You know who I am. That's why I didn't have to show my ID. But here's the bottom line.
Or as Ghost once said, my face is like my passport.
Back to the game. Back to the game. Here's the reality. Wasn't a great day for Tom Thibodeau. Wasn't a great day for him at all. Elfrid Payton, God bless the kid. He's got promise and whatever. He's really, really struggling right now. His confidence is shot. These are the playoffs. This ain't time for getting the feelings and act like Dear Abby. He got to be on the bench. Put Derrick Rose up in there. Put Quickly up in there, who came off the bench, gave him a spot. Obi Toppin came off the bench, gave him a spot as well.
Quickly wasn't scared at all.
Not even a little bit.
At all.
And was sparking up the crowd because he was hyped and played like he was hyped.
Obi Toppin wasn't scared either. I got to give it to him.
Exactly. So I'm mentioning them for a reason. And if you Julius Randle, Greg Anthony was calling the game, and by the way, did an exceptional job of doing so. Who works on NBA TV, our former colleague here at ESPN, does a fabulous job calling the games. His son is in the NBA for Orlando. He's got a lot of promise as well. Here's the deal. Greg Anthony pointed this out, and I couldn't have said it better myself. Just because you can't make shots right now doesn't mean you can't make plays, Julius Randle. That is just an incredibly astute analysis because Julius Randle was so busy looking for shots that he was missing on opportunities to make plays. Alex Burke had 27. He had 9 of 13 shots, 3 of 5 from three-point range. Derrick Rose was putting on the show. He was balling. You had two guys on the court with you that were making plays. You could have made sure you facilitated things for them better. So I'm looking at Julius Randle. It's just a game. It doesn't take away from the great season that he's had. I believe in the brother. But at the end of the day, he has got to be, if you're going to be the star of the team, understand the star ain't because of the points that you make. The star on your score being the star is because you're making plays for other people.
Judge yourself by your enemies. Right? That's like how big a deal are you? Look at your enemies. Once upon a time, the Knicks were the enemies of Michael Jordan. That was our consolation prize when I used to be a Knicks fan. Like, at least Jordan always says, they give me the toughest game.
Yeah.
The Knicks' enemy now is Trae Young. No shade at Trae Young. He's an excellent young player. He's not a top 10 player. The Atlanta Hawks are not a fearsome team. They're a lower
Max,
seed.
it's one game, bro.
And by the way,
it's one game.
okay, but that's what just happened. You just lost home court because Trae Young did it in your face after you told him to, basically.
We're going forward.
Yeah, they'll have home court
it was
back
a
by the
rough
weekend.
night for you.
They'll have home
it was
court
a
back by the
rough
weekend.
night for the Knicks. It was in Phoenix, 99-90. A scare with Chris Paul's shoulder, but he did return. He's dealing with soreness, expects to be fine. Game 2. Meanwhile, Anthony Davis had an off night, couldn't get anything going. However, LeBron is confident that when AD takes ownership like this, the next game, expect a turnaround. Here's AD.
There's no way we're winning a game, let alone a series, with me playing the way I play. So, I mean, this was on me. I take full responsibility for sure. We'll be better game 2.
All right, Davis shot 5 of 16, had 13 points in game 1, tied for his fewest in a postseason game. AD's 31% field goal percentage Sunday was his worst in a postseason game in his career. Max, was this more about AD or Booker?
Devin Booker. I told everybody going into the game. Remember on Friday when I said, that's the dude you have to fear, Devin Booker? Know why? Out of everyone in the NBA, the guy whose offensive game reminds me the most of the Mamba, Kobe Bryant, it's Devin Booker. That's the mini Mamba right there on offense. The footwork, can hit a shot from anywhere, fearless. Let me tell you something. Devin Booker stepped onto the court. First ever playoff game in his career. There's LeBron James. There's Anthony Davis. There's Chris Paul, his teammate. And he was clearly the best player on the floor. Think about that for a second. LeBron, AD, and Chris Paul all going to the Hall of Fame first ballot, all tons of playoff experience, championships everywhere you look. Devin Booker was easily the best player on the floor for his playoff debut. And you know why this doesn't surprise me? I always wondered about Devin Booker. Is he an empty calorie stats guy? He's putting up big numbers and shooting on a bad team. Then I saw what he did in the bubble. 8 games. He averaged 31, 6, and 5, went 8-0. 31, 6, and 5, went 8-0. He was the best player in the bubble during the regular season. He gave him 34, 8, and 7. He was even better when they needed him most. Chris Paul goes down. He's out for a while. When he comes back, you can see him favoring the shoulder. Don't worry about it. Book got this. I know DeAndre and other guys played well for sure, but who was the best player on the floor? Think about that one. It was Devin Booker. Wow. By the way, I'm not even surprised.
Well, none of us are surprised. The way we've seen LeBron and Anthony Davis look as of late, it was Devin Booker's first game. We saw his play in the bubble. We've seen him throughout this season. And we saw him in his career before Chris Paul ever arrived. And we know what an offensive juggernaut that he is. So next time you want to tell us the sky is blue, feel free. I'm really, really interested in knowing how innovative that is.
Great.
I would tell you is this. This is what I will tell you. Even though I will concede that Devin Booker definitely was the best player on the court last night, and you want to use that as an argument, that's fine. The story is DeAndre Ayton against Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis is one of the top 5 players on the planet when healthy. Anthony Davis had an atrocious performance. An atrocious performance. And Anthony Davis knows it. And I have no doubt that he's going to come back after this because we've seen him respond when he's had questionable performances in the past and make amends immediately. And I fully expect it. Here's what I would say to Anthony Davis. You damn well better have. DeAndre Ayton, let me throw these numbers out for you. 21 points, 16 rebounds. Hit 90% of his shots, 10 of 11 shots. And was a plus 16 when he was on the court. He played 36 plus minutes. Anthony Davis played 38 plus minutes. You were on the court when that brother was
Biggest minus in the game.
You were good. And the biggest minus in the game. A minus 18. What is it? What is it, Anthony Davis here? Minus 18. Minus 18 with Anthony Davis on the court. Just 5 of 16 shots, 31% shooting from the field. Okay, excuse me. How many rebounds did you have? 7? 7 rebounds? 7 rebounds and shooting 31% from the field. And this young pup, okay, first playoff game, takes it to you like that. Wait a minute. He looked bigger. He looked stronger. He looked like he had more. It's DeAndre Ayton we talking about here. Now we know he's good. And we know that CP3's been working with him. And we know that CP3 has been in his face and in his ear saying, in order for us to come out of the West, we need you. We know CP3 been preaching that to him all year long. And he's developing and he's got better and he's got better. But to sit up there and to play against Anthony Davis like that, well, to outshine him directly. This is not, oh, Devin Booker, you're an off guard, but Anthony Davis is the big boy and you had better than him. No. This guy plays opposite you. Right. It was mano a mano to some degree. He went up against you. We all knew you needed to play like a man amongst boys in order for y'all to beat this Phoenix Suns team, which is really good. And what happened? This brother looked bigger, stronger, faster, more active, like he wanted it more, scored more points than you, had more rebounds than you, shot better from the field than you, and was a better individual from a plus-minus perspective. That is very, very bad, and Anthony Davis has some making up to do in game 2.
You just said, to me, the key was he looked stronger. His physical strength was too much for AD, and the crazy thing about the Suns, as I said, going into this season, he's the biggest question mark. Your number 1 overall draft pick was already pretty good. Your biggest question mark. He plays like that, the Suns are going to be a big problem. Hold on.
I think the Suns going to win.
I'm saying going to be a big problem, period, through the West. Here's the thing about AD, and I also told you this. Last year, in the playoffs, in each round of the playoffs, AD shot better than he normally shoots from the outside. Now, you and Perk are trying to tell me the outside just means the outside, the painted area. Really, in the last 10 years, when people say the outside, I'm talking about 3-point line. You know, a stretch 4 nowadays or a stretch 5 means you can shoot from the outside, from 3. Get that extra point. And AD was doing that in every series. It's like 38%, 40%. The worst they think he shot in a series is like 33% from outside. That's not AD. Maybe he's just a dude, when the lights shine brightest, he could do that. Maybe LeBron and Rondo are giving him these open looks. Whatever it is, for the Lakers to repeat, he kind of has to be that guy still. Not that he makes his money out there, but he's got to be able to do that. He's not doing that right now. So what does that leave him with? That leaves him with a matchup where on the interior, he's dealing with a young, healthy, physically stronger number 1 overall draft pick who just went, 21 and 16 in the game. Ayton absolutely played well. AD positively did not, and he copped to it. Chris Paul got hurt. LeBron could be better. You can add it all up however you want. Devin Booker was the star of stars, and there were a lot in that game.
Nobody's debating that he was the star of stars. But if Anthony Davis was a man treating DeAndre Ayton like the boy he's supposed to be treated like, by that I mean inexperience, age, the fact that this was his first playoff game. If Anthony Davis had treated him like he was supposed to be treated, the Lakers still walk away winning this game in all likelihood, even with Devin Booker doing what he did, because Anthony Davis would have been that man he was supposed to be. Look at the highlights. Look at what they're showing about. Turn around, fall away jump shots, contested, turn around jump shots on the baseline, pulling up from 3 at the top of the key. You got to go in the post and remind that kid, you're going to have to contend with me. And by the way, I'm tired of this getting ignored. When you have a formidable big man that you're going against, unless you're so significantly undersized, there's nothing you can do. If you're looking at eye level and you're up there with him in weight, girth, whatever, you're supposed to attack him. You know why? Because there's such a thing called foul trouble. You don't get to foul all day long and stay on the court. You only got 6. And when you are attacking somebody, sometimes they'll lay off you because they want to make sure they're in the game later.
Yeah.
So if you're Anthony Davis and you're shooting jump shots, you're letting Ayton off the hook.
Yeah, but you
because you don't have to worry about foul trouble.
Ayton was the bigger, stronger.
Right.
You still got to go in.
Real quick.
By the way, that's without Chris Paul. I want to just point out again. Chris
Paul showed a lot of heart.
He showed a lot of heart, but for long stretches they didn't have him. Yep. And then when he came back, he wasn't as effective because he was favoring one shoulder. Booker had to carry the load. They won by 9 points with Book doing what he did.
We got to go. Who takes game 2? One word.
Lakers.
One word. Let's go.
Lakers.
LeBron James violated league was found to be in breach of the NBA's health and safety protocols this week. James won't be suspended, sources telling our Adrian Wojnarowski, as the nature of the event didn't rise to a threat level of virus spread. James was one of several high-profile guests present at a promotional event for a tequila brand that he backs earlier this week before the Lakers playing game against the Golden State Warriors. James, who has declined to say whether he has received the COVID-19 vaccination, was found to be in violation of the league's health and safety protocols. Here's LeBron on Friday on whether he's received the vaccination.
Anything that I do off the floor is predicated to my family, for the majority. I mean, for 99.9% of that. So, it's about the health and safety of my family. And that's what it came down to. Me being available to my teammates on the floor as we take my body, doing everything I can do to make sure I'm available both mentally, physically, and spiritually as well. So, but anything of that nature, that's all family talk.
And do you mind me asking if you're confirming that you did get the vaccine?
It's not a big deal.
Okay. So Charles Barkley, here's what he had to say, some strong words on the subject. I love Adam Silver. Rest in peace, David Stern, best commissioner in sports. The NBA ain't got the expletive to expletive suspend LeBron James. 0. Listen, today when I read that, sometimes you read stuff, you just start laughing. Hey, the NBA, they ain't got no chance of suspending LeBron James. If it was a nobody, they would have put him in health and safety protocols. Ain't no expletive way LeBron is going to be sitting out with all that health and safety protocols. When I read that, I just started laughing. LeBron James is playing Sunday, guarantee. Now, according to league protocols, players who fail to comply with rules are subject to warnings, fines, or suspensions. Players who repeatedly break the rules could be subject to more severe discipline. Mr. Smith, you're up first. How does the NBA look?
Well, the NBA looks a little weak. Let me say for the record, I don't care. I would have made the same decision. It is a double standard without question. Nobody's checking the king, as my man Charlie Mack likes to say. You can't have the playoffs without LeBron James, and because of some off the court matter. No. You can't do that. That's just bad for business, and we all know business is what this all comes down to. Having said that, let me say that even though the NBA looked weak, I would have looked weak too, because I would have done the same damn thing. I would have acknowledged that he was in violation of safety protocols, but I would have still let him play. I'll be damned if I'm having the players without LeBron James because LeBron James sitting out. No, that ain't happening. I'm not doing that. So let me be very, very clear, because what I'm about to say is going to be just a complete opposite point of what I just made. While I'm acknowledging that it was weak, but I would have done the same thing. Let me take a moment, Max Kellerman here, step aside just for a second here for me to get on LeBron James. He should be ashamed of himself. LeBron James should be ashamed of himself. It was weak, his response to it. It was leaderless. It was inexcusable for him not to provide a better explanation. I'm talking about his comments when asked about it.
About the vaccine or about
everything,
okay.
And I'm going to explain why. Everybody has the right to their own privacy. You don't want people to let people know whether you took the vaccine or not. That is your business. But there's a whole bunch of things that LeBron James has elected to speak up about that he felt was a detriment to our community, and because he's a leader and he wanted to bring attention and a voice to matters, he felt compelled to speak up. But on the matter of the vaccine, you got nothing to say all of these months. Nah, it don't work that way. You either want to be out front and center, to bring a voice to issues, or you don't, period. But in this particular instance, Molly and Max, where it resonates more exponentially, is the fact that here you are, LeBron James. You know what the safety protocols are for the NBA. You know how it looks. You know that it got Kyrie held out for a bit longer than he was supposed to be out, along with other players. But you do it anyway. Why'd you do it? Because you LeBron James. And we all know who you are. And why do I bring that up, Max? Remember when I came on this show, Max, during the bubble, and I reported about that meeting, after Mr. Blake was killed in Kenosha, Wisconsin, and they were talking about playing or not playing or what have you, and they had that meeting, and some of the players went at LeBron because LeBron's attitude was, y'all do what y'all want, I got mine. Who the hell, please, I ain't got time for this. And he had an uppity kind of attitude towards colleagues and contemporaries in that meeting. He let them know there's levels to this and you ain't on it. And he had that kind of attitude, that dismissive attitude, because I'm the king, I'm LeBron, y'all ain't, and that's that. And some dudes were put off by it.
When you say dismissive attitude, toward what exactly?
They were talking, and they were talking about whether they should play or shouldn't play or whatever. And I don't remember exactly what it was because it's been months since I talked about that. But at the time, if you go back to the clips, and I talked about it right here on this show, he turned people off with his attitude because he was acting like he's above the crowd. And it really turned a lot of those young cats off. And they came at him. And I came on the air the next day, and I reported that. What I'm trying to say is that in a roundabout way, this is similar because you LeBron James, you could go out there and do stuff that other cats can't do. And there was no way in hell that the NBA was going to sit you down. And that's what I'm saying. You have no business doing that. If you're going to put yourself in that kind of position, what you've done essentially is put the league in a position to look the way they're looking. You got other players looking at you and like, that's LeBron giving out quotes. I'm laughing at this because there's no way in hell they're going to sit down LeBron James. You got all of that noise because you LeBron James, you know it. And at the end of the day, you didn't give a damn. You was going to do what you want to do. And to me, come playoff time, with the position that the league is in because of a global pandemic, I just think that was a very leaderless thing for him to do.
Well, number one, we're on the same. I'm not going to debate you about the pragmatism of the league. Pragmatically, practically, you ain't sitting LeBron James down and putting him through health and safety protocols, and he just may miss the first round. Now you're going to lose the first round. Lakers out of the playoffs. Their business interests, I understand. Sometimes they can compromise the kind of letter of the law. That's number one. Number two, the reason, measles and mumps were basically gone. Then I remember I was living out in L.A. and measles were back. Why were measles back? Because a lot of anti-vaxxer nonsense, pseudoscience and nonsense. People don't want to get vaccinated. And, we were in the middle of a pandemic. The death tolls were mounting. They were staggeringly high. And then lo and behold, all the pushing and all the hard work. And it was people, look at this. Oh my God, we have not just one, we have multiple vaccines. We get out of this. Everyone get the vaccine. I understand there's some hesitance for various reasons. We talked about it. But at this point, you can be twice vaccinated from a couple different, there's a Johnson & Johnson, you get one vaccine, you're good. Kids, when they go to school, you have to get the measles, mumps, and rubella shots. You got to do it. Or guess what? You don't go to school. And I'm of the mind, and I've said this before, and everyone disagreed with me, the NBA should make it mandatory. You want to play, get vaccinated. Then you know what, Stephen A? This is not even an issue. Right. It's not even an issue. And in terms of LeBron, I don't want to say that simply because I can't imagine what the reason would be for not being forthcoming about it, that there may not be a reason, but I do want to say I can't imagine what the reason would be if he is vaccinated. Right. Not just to say, look, I'm vaccinated. And then people like me would be like, all right, you know what? You should be all right if you're vaccinated.
Right. By the way, correction on my part. I know Jacob Blake was not killed. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I know he was not killed in Kenosha, Wisconsin. I know that. But I hear what you're saying in regards to that. And my whole thing is this. The NBA is going to tell you it's not even close to the same situation as other situations that LeBron James wasn't in violation of any safety protocol. They're not going to say that because they acknowledge that obviously he could have handled the situation better. I'm talking about the optics.
That's what I mean. I want to know what part you're talking about, both of you, because I feel like there's two issues: that he didn't take he won't answer whether or not he took the vaccine, and I understand HIPAA protects you. That's your issue, or more that he went to the event, because they're separate.
To me, it's the optics of how everything looks. And the reason why I lumped them both together is because, again, I'm imagining that safety measures were put in place for him to attend that event. I'm imagining, I know for a fact that he has the right not to reveal whether he's taken the vaccine or not. 2 points in that is, number one, with the vaccine, you've spoken out about everything else that you felt was detrimental to the African-American community, and the whole COVID-19 pandemic has proven to be problematic, not just for everyone in the world, but in particular the African-American community. It's affected us in a very detrimental way. And then when you come to the court to talk about the optics of him going to an event right before the playoffs, I'm saying, yo, man, how is that going to look? It looks like you can do things. It looks like you can do things to get away with it. Go ahead, Max.
I would just say, to answer your question, from my point of view, is the rules were put in place at a different point in the pandemic. Things have changed, and we're all in this kind of gray area where we're negotiating how it's changed and what's the new normal and all of that. And the issue is we can come out of it even faster the more people get vaccinated.
Yeah.
Like everyone's praying for a miracle. Like, here it is. You can get vaccinated and we can get out of this thing. So if a very public figure like LeBron refuses to even talk about it, let alone stump for it, then it is detrimental.
Which is his right.
Which is his right. But beyond that, I'm of the mind that the health and safety protocols are overdone if you are vaccinated.
Yeah.
If LeBron were to come out and say, I'm vaccinated,
I'd be like, all right. Can I say one thing really quick here, Stephen A., to devil's advocate to both of you guys here? And obviously, you know, my grandmother died of COVID-19. I took the vaccine on my birthday as soon as I could get it. But I'm thinking maybe with LeBron, and I'm just reading between the lines, maybe he did not get it. Maybe he chose not to because he was scared to put this foreign substance in his body, right? You know, his body is a temple at another level than the rest of us. And maybe speaking to the African-American community, he thought it wouldn't be wise and being sensitive to that issue to come out and say, I did not take it because so many people would follow suit. So he just said,
here's the problem.
I can't touch
Here's the problem with what
and he also doesn't want to stump for it.
That's where I would have to protect him if that's what happened.
Here's the problem with what you're saying.
Yeah.
I'm not debating none of that. What I'm saying is, you shouldn't be silent when you want to talk about everything else. That's the point.
That's a different issue. Can you cherry pick social issues? That's another issue we have to discuss.
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm saying is, I'm not talking about whether I'm not sitting here saying he should take the vaccine or shouldn't. I took it, you took it.
Yeah.
I think he should, but if he doesn't, he does. That's his
Real
choice.
quick.
What I'm saying is, you can't be quiet about this when you're impetus.
You and I disagree.
About everything.
We could debate that. We could debate that another time. What I'm saying is, if you want to go to an event, what you're saying is right. Maybe he doesn't want to speak publicly because he has mixed feelings. He doesn't want to be a hypocrite. Well, there might be lots of reasons. But then don't go to the event because now you're putting the league in a position where they really ought to suspend you. Right? They really ought to put you in health and safety protocols. So he's entitled to do all that. Fine. Then don't go to the event.
Which is why I brought up
If we have time,
right.
if we have time later, I think we should revisit this. But let's keep it going, guys. We've got to get in a commercial break here. So the Brooklyn 17. After a slow start in game one, the Brooklyn... Oh, Stephen A., we're not going there yet. We need to
stop. We need to just to finish off this whole LeBron conversation. League source, okay? And I mean the league. Mm-hmm. Many differences here, not even close. The event was outdoors. Kyrie's wasn't. The event had every person either vaccinated or tested. That wasn't the case with the Kyrie Irving situation you brought up. LeBron was there for a few minutes. Kyrie Irving was there for hours. Situations are not even close. Significant numbers of protocol violations this year, and this is how we've had significant numbers of protocol violations this year, and this is how they were handled. Quarantines are not punitive. They are for healthy and safety. LeBron's activity put no one at risk as determined by the league's investigation and doctors. That is why there was no quarantine. We have not suspended anyone all year for a protocol violation. There you have it.
Yeah, we weren't talking about suspension. Let's just be very clear. We meant health and safety protocols, right?
But that's important context because it's very different. And LeBron was careful in that situation.
Exactly.
Makes
but he also knew what the picture would entail, how it would look, and what kind of reaction people would get. It was at Rich Paul's house, the event in Beverly Hills. And so he knew how it would be perceived. He knew how it would look. And if you know that, either don't show up, or when you do show up and you have a press conference with people wondering why you're still allowed to play, have a better damn answer than what he gave.
If that info is true, it does change the thinking about it. If the info
is
from the league.
And they took all the proper protocols.
Okay.
Thank you for that context. It's important. All right. After a slow start in game one, the Brooklyn Nets' big three was off and running in the second half. Durant had 32 and 12. Irving had 29 points. Harden finished with 21 in the win over the young Boston Celtics. After struggling to make anything from the outside in the first half, the second half was all about the big three. They were 50% from the field on contested looks in the second half, and they were 14% in the first. Stephen A.
Yeah.
Can we please stop worrying about the Brooklyn Nets now?
I told everybody, I was on with the wonderful Malika Andrews on a halftime show on
Love
Twitter.
Malika.
Yeah, she's the best. And,
excellent.
She was she was talking to me, and she asked me during halftime, is there anything to worry about here? Anything to worry about? I said, Nothing at
question.
all. Nothing at all. I watched the Brooklyn Nets one day play against the Los Angeles Clippers and score. I mean, I went to the kitchen to grab a drink and came back, and they had erased the like 5-point deficit and was up like 13. I mean, this is who they are, okay? I wasn't worried about it at all. Boston just doesn't have enough weapons. And when you have the big three playing the way that they're capable of, I mean, it's pretty hard to imagine anybody stopping them. They came out a bit tight. They were hyped and stuff like that, a little bit tight. But in the end, here's the thing that we have to say about the Brooklyn Nets that cannot go unnoticed. The big three knows it's about them. They win, it's because of them. They lose, it's because of them. Nobody's going to bring up Mike D'Antoni. Nobody's going to bring up Steve Nash. Nobody's going to bring up Joe Harris or anybody else, okay? They're going to bring up the big three. Everybody knows that. So when we understand that, to watch them play, I'm watching their communication with one another. You understand? Their selflessness with one another. These brothers are focused. They're locked in. They ain't playing. And they coming to take people out. We knew they were going to do that anyway to the Boston Celtics. But when you watch everybody else in the playoffs go through some things, and then you look at Brooklyn, they just look at each other and they're communicating with each other, and then they just put their head, they take their chin, and they tuck it down to their chest, and they just look at each other and they're like, let's go. And that's what you saw Saturday night. I expect a sweep in this series. I don't expect the Boston Celtics to win a single game, and it is because somehow, some way, these brothers, I don't think it's going to come down to one of them saving the day each game. I think that they're so locked in together that collectively, as a dynamic trio, not to take anything away from Blake Griffin, Joe Harris, and others, but as a dynamic trio, they're so locked in such a way that annihilation is what's on their mind. I actually think game one was an aberration. I think it's going to look a lot worse in game two for Boston.
First of all, I like the Nets in 3. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I think Boston has no chance.
I laughed quicker this time. I got it.
Boston has no chance. And what you really want to get a laugh, check social media at halftime in a game like that. Oh, the haters come out about the Nets. Oh, where's your big three now? I'm thinking, it's not even worth responding.
Boston fans are the best.
But like even just Nets haters, like, you know what's about to happen? The first half was real simple. KD was trying to get himself going, and he was getting pretty good looks. But when the basketball gods have a way of punishing teams where it's ISO, take a shot, right? And they really weren't a cohesive unit first half. It was a lot of ISO. KD would bring the ball up. Sometimes there'd be no passes. And, he's 7 feet tall. He can shoot the lights out. He'd shoot it, wouldn't go in. A lot of guys they were getting decent looks, not going in, not moving the ball. Boston was moving the ball real well and everything and hitting shots. And then everything Stephen A. said was right, especially when James Harden checked back into the game. I forgot why he was out, but he checks back in. The offense get a little more organized, and the Nets take off. Here's the scary thing, Stephen A. What was the final score? 104-93?
Yeah.
Not the worst Nets defense I've ever seen, right? Like, even on a day where everything's not clicking right away and they're kind of like waking up and figure, oh, yeah, we're down a few points. Okay, let's take care of this. Their defense was not so bad. And all the Nets defense has to be is not so bad. If the Nets defense is not so bad, and they're healthy, I don't think they can lose. And that's what I saw. And Harden came and organized the offense. It was over.
I felt bad. Like yesterday morning, I had to fly to Boston and then drive to Brockton, Massachusetts. The memorial service for Marvin Hagler took place. He would have turned 67 yesterday. And, obviously you're honoring him and you're paying homage to the greatness that he exhibited, but it's also semi-sad because he's not there any longer, And I brought all of that up to say I didn't want to put people in the worst mood, but they kept coming up to me because it's right outside of Boston, and they're asking me the chances of the Boston Celtics. Like, what am I supposed to say? What am I supposed to say? I mean, they say, come on, Stephen A., we got a chance, man. I mean, you got... No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, mean, listen.
You should have said maybe you'll get Julio Jones.
Yeah, maybe, right?
Bill Belichick's trying.
You know what? I was talking to a few people about Bill Belichick and the Patriots just to distract them
that was nice.
from the misery that Boston Celtics would bring. They will be this year, though. But I'm just saying, I mean, I'm looking at them and I'm like, okay, let's talk about the Patriots because you have a chance, okay? You have a chance. You got people that's coming back that didn't play last year because they passed up the season because they didn't want to deal with COVID and stuff like that. I expect the Patriots to make the playoffs this year. I had to change the subject to football because the people in Boston and outside of Boston, because you know one of my favorite spots is the Liberty Hotel. They got a beautiful restaurant.
Great.
Yeah. The hotel is fantastic.
I do love that.
So I went there to eat breakfast, and you got people coming up to me, and I'm like, look, man, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
You have no chance.
That's a little underground
You
cave.
have no chance.
Don't feel that sorry for them. Do you know how many parades that city has had?
I'm just
unreal.
I'm just saying, you know,
They
the
churn out championships.
They bring up the Celtics and the Nets.
Dynasty after dynasty.
I was just trying to look out.
Bring up John the Beast Mugabe or something.
I'm just trying to
distract them somehow.
But
Hagler
I
talk.
mean, that's right. I mean, Hearns was there. Hearns was there. Hearns was there. Bernard Hopkins was there. But I'm just saying that you just look at it and it's like, come on, Al Bernstein, the great Al Bernstein was there. All of these people was there.
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at them and I'm like, you got no shot. Stop it. Stop it. Yeah. And I was just,
that's how you feel.
Trying to be nice.
Knicks,
you're trying to be nice.
Yeah.
Well, but see, he switches it like that. Now he's back.
It's not like that.
Not with Atlanta.
Oh.
Not with Atlanta. Now, if they were going against Brooklyn, I mean, that's different. Not with Atlanta. Not with Atlanta. They got a shot. I picked the Knicks to win this series in 7 games.
Yeah. Are you going to Atlanta?
Yes.
Oh,
I'm going there Thursday night. The New York's in the building.
Know. Are you the
New
black
York's
cat
in the building. New York's in the
and I love
listen. I love the ATL. The ATL has been very, 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 very good to me. But the point is, I'm going down there for business. Okay? The New York's in the house. We taking over Phillips Arena. Watch the Knicks fans in the building. New York's in the building. New York's in the building. I was just telling you.
So reasonable. I had to let these Celtics fans know.
I'm just saying.
Yeah, God. What about the Knicks?
All right.
New York's in the house.
New York's in the building.
At least you have the Georgia Peaches, all right?
I'm going to have that too.
All right.
And in New York.
Our good friend,
we coming.
Let's get it. Max, most impressive game 1.
Oh, easily Devin Booker. Game 34, 8 and 7. Stepped onto the floor, saw LeBron, AD, and Chris Paul, and was easily the best player on the floor. Devin Booker's like a mini Mamba. He's got Kobe's offensive game, and he shows up when it matters most. His first ever playoff game. My hat's off to him.
Mamba mentality in Phoenix. Stephen A., most impressive game 1.
I'm going with Tobias Harris. Who saw that coming? I mean, I understand it was against the Wizards, but we still been thinking about Embiid and everybody else. Tobias Harris dropped 37. Tobias Harris has been balling all season long and deserves a hell of a lot more love and attention than we have given him this season, especially since he's reunited with Doc Rivers. His best season in the NBA prior to this year was when he was a Clipper with Doc Rivers.
Underrated. Like that note. Max, most disappointing game 1 performance.
I mean, no surprise, Anthony Davis, especially since AD handled the Suns not that long ago. Like, one of the reasons the Lakers were 3-1 favorites, which was nuts, so it should have been closer than that, was, hold on, we saw him without LeBron handle the Suns. What happened? He got muscled around. Ayton was too strong for him. AD wasn't hitting shots. He wasn't being aggressive. That was not Anthony Davis. That's easily the most disappointing performance.
All right, let's stay there right now because both the Lakers and the Clippers lost this weekend. As Max just mentioned, the Mavs were at Staples. Luka leading Dallas to a 10-point win over the Clips. The Lakers were on the road, falling by 9 to an unstoppable Booker. And now we bring in Kendrick Perkins. Big Perk, good to see you always. I like the blue. I will get to you in a hot second, sir, and I know you'll be with us for a minute. Stephen A., I'm coming to you here. Which LA team can least afford to go down 0-2?
Well, before I answer that question, I want to say Kendrick Perkins. I like the blue too, but you wear a lot of white shirts. I would like to see a little light blue shirt up in there to sort of accentuate the blue blazer. I mean, it's just a little tip, okay? Just a little tip, my brother.
Police.
That's right, okay?
I'm just saying, Stephen, I got to take baby steps, okay?
I got you.
Hey, Look, I threw away the gold chain. All right,
Okay.
I threw away the T-shirts. I'm
right.
coming more suit and
Oh,
ties.
no, no, no,
I'm
no,
a step. I'm a step.
Oh, I got you.
I like it.
I promised you I was gonna take you out for a few shirts. I got you. I got you. I got you.
One
Me and
thing
you,
at a
baby,
time.
during the finals. We gonna do that. I'm gonna take you shopping. Now let's go to this. The Clippers, man. The Clippers. Let me tell you something right now. Max, KP, when is Kawhi Leonard gonna step up and remind us of what the elite defender it is that he's supposed to be? Last time we saw him in the postseason prior to this weekend, Jamal Murray was dropping 40 in a game 7. Before that, even though they beat the Dallas Mavericks in the playoffs, was that not Luka Doncic's coming out party in terms of his superstardom when you saw how he performed in the playoffs? And now Saturday, this brother comes out, drops another 30, 31 with a triple-double, and now finally we hearing, well, Kawhi Leonard may spend some time guarding him. Well, duh! Where the hell you been? The fact is that he's the dude that came to L.A. to take over. He's the dude that said the crown with the New Balance commercial and the convertible is the new sheriff in town, okay? That's him. Clippers didn't show up. Forget all of that. That happens. All right, fine. We look at Paul George and Kawhi Leonard as stars in this league, and Kawhi Leonard is a superstar in this league, not just because of what they do offensively, because they play on both ends of the floor. Paul George can lock you down. We've seen him do it. All right, Kawhi Leonard can lock you down. We damn sure have seen him do it. But against Luka Doncic, the brother giving it to them. And we all know what Dallas is without him. Why would you not prioritize stopping that brother? I'm sorry. The Dallas Mavericks, if the Clippers don't win game 2, Clippers losing this series.
Look,
I believe they're going to win game 2, but they better.
If the question is who's going to look worse losing their first-round series, then I'm with you. You got two-way wings, LeBron and Wade, Jordan and Pippen. You get paid to show up now. I'm not even going to debate that. But who can least afford to go down 0-2 is actually the Lakers. They can least afford. Like, Clippers lose home court to a team that gave them problems in the playoffs last year. Lakers already didn't have home court and lost game 1. And that was with a compromised Chris Paul. Compromised Chris Paul. No, the Lakers are playing in the Suns a better team. And I thought Dallas was going to be better than they were this year. There was, COVID issues and Porzingis injuries as always. The Suns, I thought, were also going to be very good. And if anything, they're even a little better than I thought they'd be. The big question mark on that team was, ironically, their number 1 overall pick. Given their roles? No. This is not the same situation as last year for the Mavericks, and you're sleeping on the Suns.
Max, and you real quick, Stephen A., and you're sleeping on the Dallas Mavericks role players because Bronson is an underrated guy that comes in and give you work. Kleber could play the game of basketball. And by the way, the last couple weeks or the last month of the regular season, Tim Hardaway Jr. was averaging around 20 points a game. He had a monster game against the Clippers. No one is afraid of them. You remember Stephen A., everybody was talking about the Rough Riders last season and how they just be bullying people. Nobody's scared of that. Nobody believes that no more, Max. This is why I'm saying the Clippers cannot go down 0-2 because this is like a baby rivalry.
Well, first of all, let's understand something, Max. We're not knocking the Suns. We understand that the Suns can win this series. But if anybody has a possibility of overcoming a 2-0 deficit and locking in, it would be the experience and the greatness of a LeBron James-led team. We all understand that. We're not saying it wouldn't be daunting, but if anybody, you had to bet your money on anybody overcoming such stacked odds, it would be him. We are in a situation with the Clippers. Remember, Kawhi Leonard has the right to walk away at the end of the season if he so chooses, okay? We got a Clippers organization that just replaced Doc Rivers. We've got Lawrence Frank as an executive. You got Ty Lue as a new coach. You got Steve Ballmer, who already bought the team for $2 billion, already invested another $1.8 billion in building a new arena. You got all of this stuff going on, okay? At the end of the day, you're talking about this brother spending more than $5 billion without even a berth to the conference finals to show for it. And then on top of it all, you down and you're going to lose. You don't lose to the Lakers. You don't lose in the Western Conference Finals. You lose in the first round.
That.
It would be an absolute disaster.
Right,
but when you're
that's
who could least afford to lose the series in a larger sense. I agree with that.
Oh, so now it's a larger sense?
No, because the question is who could least afford to go down 0-2. The Clippers could more readily overcome that. Why? Because they have Rondo this year. They didn't last year. Why? Because Kawhi Leonard, you talk about experience, is a not one-time, two-time Finals MVP. If you want to point out, it's going to once again come down to Paul George not being a lesser version of himself. Fine. But the Lakers are in worse trouble down 0-2 against the Suns than the Clippers would be.
Molly?
Yes.
Against the Mavericks.
Molly,
seconds, yep.
and do not speak. Do not interrupt when I ask Molly this question.
I'll speak when I want to speak.
Yeah.
I'm looking
Watch
at
what I
you.
do.
Eye
Here's the
contact.
point.
Let's see what
Here's
you
the
do.
point.
Tell me.
Did you, not only did he say if Porzingis is healthy, Dallas is a problem, did Max Kellerman not just say that last year, but say that again when the Clippers acquired Rondo? Did he still say Dallas is the sleeper? They are the threat?
Yeah.
Everybody look
I
out.
heard that.
Yeah.
So how can you sit up there and say, after saying
we're
all of that,
comparing it because I'm not denying there's a threat. I'm comparing it to the threat of the number 2 seeded Phoenix Suns against the Lakers.
But you talked about the Dallas Mavericks being the sleeper.
Okay, the witness.
That doesn't change. The Phoenix Suns aren't a sleeper because they're the 2 seed.
I'm not saying they're not a sleeper. You said Dallas was your number 1 focus. Kristaps Porzingis. That's what you said.
He was hurt all year, Stephen A. He's hurt all year.
Okay.
When they acquired Rondo, you still said the same thing if they had Porzingis. Those were your words.
Yeah, and Porzingis, by the way, they're live. Dallas is live. So is Phoenix, who's live.
Bump. That's what I'm hearing. There's more Kendrick Perkins, where that came from, and more Stephen A. and Max. Don't you worry. That was good, guys. Big Berg back with a scorching hot take that you won't believe, a prediction that will shock you in just a bit. Steph Curry did all he could do to carry the Warriors this season, but his Warriors fall just short of making the playoffs. Max Kellerman isn't giving him a pass, though. His take next. It's First Take. It's a lot. The Golden State Warriors fell to Ja Morant and the Grizzlies in Friday night's play-in game in overtime, securing the Grizz the 8th seed in the playoff and ending Steph Curry in the Warriors season. After the game, head coach Steve Kerr was asked about his team's season. Here's what he had to say.
I think this season was absolutely a success, Anthony. We would have loved to have gotten into the playoffs and tried to make a run. We were really a good team over the last 22 games, I guess. To put together a stretch like that over an entire quarter of a season, that's not a fluke. We were the number 1 defense in the league during that span.
Max?
Yeah.
Do you agree with Steve Kerr that the season was a success?
No, overall, no. There's some successful things, but no, you can't call this a success. We have exaggerated by a little bit. I'm guilty of it also. Like the Warriors roster. Like, I didn't think the Warriors had enough shooting to be good. They wound up with a little more shooting than I thought they'd have. They made the Oubre trade, and then Wiggins turned out to shoot pretty well. But, let's not exaggerate. They have nothing on the roster. They have an MVP caliber player in Steph. They have a former number 1 overall draft pick who turned into a good 2-way player in Wiggins. They have a defensive player of the year type guy, multiple-time all-star in Draymond. And they have some interesting pieces. What they had to do was win. They had 2 chances to win a single game to get to the first round of the playoffs. I'm sorry, with everything I just said, and you have 2 chances just to win once against a compromised Lakers team, against a Memphis team, lose in the first round, at least get to the first round. They couldn't even do that. And why not? Look, I'm sure I'll hear a lot about how, I'm hating on Steph. I'm throwing shade at Steph because I say he's not on LeBron's level. Duh, look, he's not. But I brought up that I was there, saw you there, at Oracle when he had 4 minutes and 22 seconds in the fourth quarter, 7th game, to manufacture a single point running the greatest half-court offense ever, came up with 0. You know what he did in the last 3:30 of overtime the other day? With the whole season on the line, get to the first round. 0 points, but he did have 0 assists, but also had 0 rebounds to lose in overtime and go home. I'm sorry. I can't call that, ultimately, when you take everything, a successful season. You had 2 shots to make the playoffs. You had an MVP player with the ball in his hands, couldn't get it done. Ultimately, that's a failure.
Sometimes I argue with you about this stuff and you're just flat out wrong. And then there are other times that we debate about it because we just have 2 different perspectives. We come from a different place. We prioritize different things. This is the latter here. I totally get you and everybody that thinks like you in terms of this Warriors season. Because you had a play-in tournament, you lost not once but twice. You lost to the Lakers and then you lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. So the play-in wasn't a success for you. When we say season, I'm thinking about the season in its totality, the 72 games played prior to the play-in game. And I would say that's a raving success. I shouldn't say raving success. It's a success. You went 39-33. Steph Curry, without Klay Thompson, reminded you of his greatness, leading the league in scoring at 32 a game, shooting about 49% from the field, shooting 42% from three-point range, okay? You discovered guys like a Jordan Poole, for example, and what kind of role he can ultimately play. James Wiseman goes down, he gets hurt. That's a 7-footer that can give you some things from the inside. On both ends of the floor, we can't forget that Kelly Oubre wasn't available. He was supposed to be there, okay? So when you look at it from that perspective, now let's fantasize for a second and say to ourselves, because this is how you have to look at a season that was devoid of championship expectations. If they were a championship contender and that was our expectation, you'd have a point. But nobody looked at the Golden State Warriors that way this year. But now, let's say Wiseman is healthy, Kelly Oubre is there, Andrew Wiggins is still there. Steph is still there. Jordan Poole is still there. And Draymond Green is still there. And a healthy Klay Thompson is coming back.
Yeah, I mean.
What I'm saying is, if you look at next season, same squad.
Yeah.
Same squad. You're talking about, in all likelihood, a berth in the conference finals. And so to me, when I look at it from that perspective, I'm going to sit up there and I'm going to say, I agree with Steve Kerr. I agree with Steve Kerr in terms of developing some of the younger guys. Steph Curry shining and shining brightly. Somebody's got to do something about Draymond Green shooting. Everything else is there.
He won the scoring title, some of the best records in the spring.
I said Draymond Green, no.
No, but I'm saying about Steph Curry.
I'm just looking
for
at
MVP.
Draymond Green shooting 27% from three-point range ain't going to cut it. And where Max and I inherently disagree is this part. Max wants to act like size doesn't matter a lot of times. We made a big deal when a Spud Webb or a Nate Robinson won the slam dunk contest. Why? Because they were miniature and did what they did. Whereas when Dwight Howard, even though he won a slam dunk title, when he put on a Superman cape, it wasn't that big of a deal to us.
Like time to respond to
because
that.
he's 6'11". He's 6'11". Chris Paul, for example, being a quintessential cerebral point guard. Isaiah Thomas being an all-time great, a miniature dynamo that can score. Allen Iverson, great pound for pound.
No, I don't think size doesn't matter.
But that's different than the Russell Westbrook with 6'4" and others. So I'm looking at Steph Curry. You bring up what he couldn't do in 3 minutes. I'm thinking about the fact that he finished with 39 and he had no help.
I'm not saying size doesn't matter. If anything, you're pointing out that it does. That you can't be the best player in the game at Steph. You can't be on LeBron's level at Steph's height because pound for pound you can be, inch for inch, but overall you can't. So what that tells, but I'm saying overall influence on championships. So that's why I point out Kevin Love and Kyrie had to get hurt to win the first one. You lost the second one, then you added KD. Like, what I saw from Steph in the final game and what I see on this team is the number one success of the season is you developed Andrew Wiggins. Either you can keep him and trade the draft pick, Minnesota's draft pick, and Wiseman into something great maybe, or maybe you package Wiggins too. But what I saw from the Warriors is they're going to have to do something to bring in a player better than Steph, taller maybe, if they want to get back to being a dynasty.
Hold on, whoa. Are you saying that Klay Thompson coming back with this squad wouldn't be enough for them
to win a championship? No, they wouldn't win a championship.
You don't think they could win a championship with Klay Thompson back?
I think they'll come a little short, yeah.
Let me tell you something. The Golden State Warriors with a healthy Klay and a healthy step.
They're going to win it next year?
A healthy. I might pick them to win it all.
Oh, good. Do it.
I might pick them to win it all. I might pick the Nets.
Max says they can't win a championship when he returns.
But he's saying Kevin Durant. You're saying James Harden. I'm saying to you, Kevin Durant might be that difference. Okay, you tell me that, I'll stand down.
What do you mean?
That would be the reason that you would pick him.
Oh, sure. KD is the best player on the team. Harden runs the offense. If you take Harden off, they're not going to win. With Harden, they're going to win.
Okay. We're debating this at another time because that's interesting, but it's a separate debate. All right, John, the 8-seeded Grizzlies upset the Donovan Mitchell list.
Mitchell will watch again for a 17th consecutive game. What? Woo! Are you kidding me? What a move! Here's Morant, who takes it in with a floater again. Zeros on the clock. Memphis has pulled the upset. The Grizzlies have beaten Utah in Game 1.
News just coming in, according to our Brian Windhorst and Tim McMahon. Jazz star Donovan Mitchell was incensed at the late decision to scratch him from Sunday's playoff opener, and it deepened tensions with the team regarding his recovery from a right ankle sprain. Perk, we know you got some hot takes on the Memphis Grizzlies, so let's let the guys know how you're feeling. In your segment, carry on.
Well, first of all, I'm mad that the show has been on for 90 minutes and we're just not talking about the Memphis Grizzlies. But with that being said, the Memphis Grizzlies are going to beat the Utah Jazz in this series. And here's why. The Memphis Grizzlies has been playing playoff basketball for over a month now because of the play-in situation. Ja Morant is relentless. He don't care about who's in front of him. He goes at anybody. Dylan Brooks is a goon. He gets it out the mud. He's not afraid of embarrassment. And look, they just had to go and put a defense to stop Steph Curry. You think they worried about Donovan Mitchell if he plays, or Mike Conley, or Bogdanovich? And guess what? Old big Rudy Gobert. You got your problems, big fella. You got your hands full with big Jonas Valanciunas down low. So be prepared to strap your shoes on. So I have the Memphis Grizzlies winning this series over the Utah Jazz. Carry on.
Well, we ain't carrying on from that. We're going to stay right here with that. Before I say anything, a couple of things that I wanted to point out here. Number one, we need to talk more about these medical staffs at some point in time. If Donovan Mitchell said, I'm ready to go, I feel no pain, and I want to play, and then he is not allowed to, then clearly the medical staff for these respective teams have significantly more power than we all realize, which is something I reported weeks ago when we were talking about players, Kevin Durant and them sitting out. And a lot of times players are getting the finger of blame pointed in their direction when the team and the medical staffs are the ones making these decisions and forcing them to sit out. So we need to do that. Number two, Donovan Mitchell, that damn jacket he had on, HBCU Pride, Chicago Playground made that for him. They said, I need one of those jackets. I need one of those jackets. I'm putting everybody
It's coming.
That same exact jacket that Donovan. Now, I don't give a damn if Donovan Mitchell got to send me the jacket himself. Chicago Playground. They at Chicago Playground. They're the ones that make those jackets. Get me one of those jackets.
What
I'll
size?
pay for it. Extra large. I need the jacket ASAP. HBCU Pride. You're damn right. I need that jacket immediately. That's number two.
Okay.
Number three. Memphis is not winning this series if Donovan Mitchell returns. Mm-hmm. Memphis is not losing this series if Donovan Mitchell does not return. Mm-hmm. They say Donovan Mitchell practiced at least 3 days, that he was ready to go, and now he is ticked off. It's a problem, but D-Wade is there. That's his boy. And D-Wade, now part owner of the Jazz, who would know a thing or two about injuries in the postseason. If there's anybody that can calm the storm, a potential storm that would develop, it's my brother D-Wade. D-Wade gonna handle that. That's why the new owner got him in there, okay? That's a part on. D-Wade gonna be, he gonna handle that. Grizzlies deserve a lot of credit. Dylan Brooks showed out last night. Ja Morant is the truth. And listen, I like all of these. Grayson Allen out of Duke came out 2 big-time threes in that playing game Friday night. Let's not forget him. Jaren Jackson and all of those boys. I love them. A lot of promise. But they should not win this series if Donovan Mitchell returns.
And
that's what this comes down
is
to.
real simple. Stephen A is 100% right about this. It's not the Jazz if Donovan Mitchell's not playing. Like, let's not forget what this dude did in the playoffs last year. That was one of the great. He and Jamal Murray linked up to have two of the greatest scoring performances you'll ever see in any round of the postseason. He averaged, I just looked up the numbers. I know they were astronomical, but 36, 5, and 5 in a 7-game series. He shot 52% from three, 95% from the line, or 93%. I didn't see what I wrote here. 53% from the field. But he had a plus 38 over the course of that series. Like, what'd they lose by? A bucket? How many buckets did they lose by the other night? You think Donovan Mitchell doesn't change that? He is like, I know Gobert is a really good defensive player, a great defensive player, and they have other guys, Conley and different guys. Donovan Mitchell's clearly their best player, especially this time of year. So it is simple. If they don't have him, yeah, they could lose. They probably will. If they have Donovan Mitchell, they ain't losing, period. Donovan Mitchell not going to let them lose in the first round of the Grizzlies.
You know what? You know what's crazy is that time and time again I come on here and I try to give you and Stephen a free game. I don't even charge y'all about the game and knowledge that I give y'all when I come on here and I say things like, hey, I don't care how much working out you've been doing. If you've been out for over a month, the only how you get into game shape is by getting game reps in. Donovan Mitchell haven't got one game rep in. And you think that he's about to come in and just have a straight effect like he did in the bubble against this Memphis Grizzlies team who has been playing at an extremely high level for over the past month. They've been playing playoff basketball because they had to, one, get into the play-in. They had to, one, get into the play-in. Secondly, they had to fight to get into the playoffs. Okay, and then tell me this, Max. One person that we didn't see last year in the bubble was Steph Curry. So can you tell me what Steph Curry would have done in the bubble last year? The same thing he did this year, this season. Went for 50s
no points,
and 40s.
no rebounds, no assists in the last 3:30 of overtime with the season on the line?
He went for 50s and 40s. He was the hardest guard he was the hardest player to guard in the NBA in this season. No one could stop him. They had to basically run a box and one. Dylan Brooks was like, forget everybody else. I'm going to face guard this brother. And he still was getting off for 41 and 37 and 46, whatever the numbers were. So what I'm telling you is this. The Memphis Grizzlies said, if we got past Steph Curry and what he's capable of doing, we could guard anybody. And they showed us that last night.
Bottom line is,
go ahead,
they lost
Max.
by a bucket. They lost by 3 points. You mean to tell me Donovan Mitchell's not worth a bucket?
Max, do you understand that the Memphis Grizzlies had full control of this game the entire game? Do you really understand that?
No,
they went up by
Mitchell.
double digits. They went up by double digits. And I'm telling you, Max, Donovan Mitchell haven't played basketball in a month.
He's about to play.
Perk, let's hold on,
Don't worry,
Max. Hold on, Max. Perk, let's step away from the game for a second and go to something just a touch philosophical. You know, I remember years ago, there was a finals that was taking place between the Boston Celtics and the Los Angeles Lakers. You might know a little something about that, Perk. And the Lakers ended up winning that series. Now, there was a guy on there by the name of Kendrick Perkins that nobody would ever accuse you of being a scorer, but that wasn't your job. You was there, muscle, girth, to be an enforcer, whatever. I checked, and you were up 3-2. Game 6, you played about 6 minutes and 30 seconds, but ultimately you weren't healthy. And game 7, y'all lose that game. Y'all lose game 6, game 7. And a lot of people believed that if you were healthy, y'all win the chip. What I'm saying to you is this. It's not always about somebody being themselves. The little tweak that you can throw into the equation could be enough. Donovan Mitchell could be a shell of himself, but his presence on the court, the potential threat that he poses, obviously is two different people. You're not Donovan Mitchell and vice versa. But what I'm saying is, when you look at the Utah Jazz, to get to Max's point, and you look at how they play and what they are on the court, just because he's on the court with them That is what, it's not about him averaging 30 or anything. It's that just the presence alone and what he brings to the table can make Ingles better, can make Bogdanovich better, can make Rudy Gobert better, Royce O'Neal better, et cetera, et cetera.
And Stephen A., Stephen A., that's a great point, but I'm going to tell you this. Donovan Mitchell's game relies on what? His athleticism, okay? So his lateral movement along with his running and his jumping ability, that's what makes Donovan Mitchell. He's not a J.J. Redick. He's not a Ray Allen. He's not a guy that sits out there and that's a dead sniper. He's a guy that relies on his athleticism to get downhill, to finish at the basket, to be able to elevate over people to get his shots off. And what I'm saying is the same thing I said about LeBron James and why he needed to play those 2 games is because you need those reps to test that ankle out because you've been out for so long. You see what I'm saying, Stephen A.? And what I'm saying is that, yes, I was out, but I was playing all the way up until then. I happened to get injured. He's been out for a month, and then you're coming back at the highs.
But he says he's ready.
Okay.
It might take, look, they might spot him a couple games. That's right. And then the question is, are they 2 games better than a 5-game series? With Mitchell, maybe.
Game 2 Wednesday, 10 Eastern. Perk, carry on.